Sonic CD. I don't need to introduce this game to you. One of the most famous aspects of this game is its soundtrack, composed by Sega composers Naofumi Hataya and Masafumi Ogata. One notable thing about this soundtrack is that it contains the first of a long line of vocal themes for the Sonic series. Two actually, those being the intro theme, Sonic You Can Do Anything, and the ending theme, Cosmic Eternity Believe in Yourself. These tracks have lyrics written by the late Casey Rankin and vocals performed by pop singer Keiko Utoku. Casey Rankin was an interesting individual, having been a US-born Vietnam War veteran who moved to Japan to escape the wild rock star culture of the US music industry. He's done a lot of work for other things besides Sonic CD, most notably for the anime Orgus. I wanted to know more information about this soundtrack, and I found it in an interview with Sonic CD composer Naofumi Hataya that was included as part of the liner notes for the 2011 release of Sonic CD's soundtrack. Something that I can't find scans of online, but there is a translated version hosted on the website Shmuplations, which you should check out if you're at all interested in retro Japanese games. It has tons of interesting interviews, including a lot more Sonic stuff. In this interview, Hataya states, quote, "For Sonic CD's opening and ending themes, Sega enlisted the help of music production company Being, who were at the time the biggest name in the music industry. With Being's help, we got Keiko Utoku to do the vocals. For the lyrics, we were able to call on Casey Rankin from the rock band Shogun. Casey was a good-natured guy. I remember how much I really liked him. For the recording, he brought these two black guys who were friends of his. His words, not mine." After reading this led me to believe that the rap vocals on the vocal tracks were recorded by the individuals that Hataya mentioned in this interview, and they went uncredited. However, I saw everywhere online that people were attributing these vocals to Casey Rankin himself, and upon actually listening to some of his music, it's clear that yes, those are in fact his vocals on those songs. So what was Hataya talking about? Maybe these individuals he mentioned provided backing vocals on these songs? That did seem likely, as there are vocals on those tracks that don't sound like Rankin's. But thinking about it further is when I realized something. This soundtrack technically doesn't just have two vocal tracks. There are original vocals on 4 other songs on the soundtrack. The Boss Theme, Stardust Speedway, Metallic Madness, and Metallic Madness Bad Future. Metallic Madness Bad Future seemingly just uses some sort of text-to-speech synthesis. Wacky Workbench also seemingly uses this effect, albeit to a lesser extent. The Boss Theme is more interesting, as it features someone reading a poem. Stardust Speedway contains this vocal chant. It's worth noting that while both of these songs make heavy use of samples, it's clear that these vocals were made specifically for these tracks. Lastly, we have Metallic Madness, which contains a rap verse. I believe that these may have also have been part of these vocal recordings that Hataya was referring to. So, I decided to start digging and find out who exactly did these vocals. First, I took a look at lists of artists who had signed to Being, which Hataya had mentioned in the interview. However, I found their subsidiaries mostly only signed native Japanese artists. and I quickly realized I was obviously looking in the wrong place. All I needed to do was look for credits on any of Casey Rankin's work, whether that be his solo work or his work with his band Shogun. Unfortunately, even with a website that catalogs music releases like Discogs, I had trouble finding any projects of his with credits. That wasn't until I came across Miyabi Project, a 1988 album by Rankin that had a pretty extensive list of credits. At first I began looking through the list of background vocalists, but as I was doing that, I saw it also had one credit listed for a rap, James Norwood. I searched the name up and I was quickly met with a Fandom Busta Groove wiki article on him. I knew at that exact moment that I had found one of these performers. Not only did he do work with Rankin, he also did work for other video games. I also found that he was the one who performed the remix of the DK rap from Super Smash Bros. Melee, where he was credited. Listening to recordings of his voice from the PlayStation 1 game Busta Groove, where he served as the game's announcer, and Smash Melee, they indeed sounded very similar to those of Rankin's supporting vocals on the opening and closing themes of Sonic CD, and maybe also the Stardust Speedway chant.
Don't keep calm. He's the leader of the bunch. You know him well. He's finally back to kick some tail. In the end, who's on your side? Who can you trust? In the middle of the night, where will you be? If you can't find you, there's no place to go. Nothing to do. If you gotta do something, you gotta do something. Believe in yourself.
I was shocked that given the popularity of both Sonic CD and Super Smash Bros. Melee and the overlap in their fan bases, that this connection wasn't made sooner. But I had to truly confirm whether or not this was the same James Norwood that worked with Casey Rankin. So I had to look into some of the tracks on Miyabi Project. I eventually found this YouTube recording of the song Yosaku Let's Go Crazy. Avid viewers of my channel may actually remember the name Yosaku. It was a song by singer Saburo Kitajima about a woodcutter, but it's better known outside of Japan for serving as the inspiration for SNK's first arcade game of the same name, a game that's now unfortunately lost media, and one of the games I covered in my Lost 1970s Arcade Games video. Listening to the song, it's very clearly the same voice, but I'm not sure if this video will get struck down if I play it here, so I suggest you listen to it yourself. All I needed to do was ask the man himself to confirm, and the Busta Groove wiki linked to his Instagram page. Unfortunately, I needed him to follow me in order to DM him, so I commented on his latest post and he responded, thanking me for recognizing his work and confirming that he in fact did record vocals for Sonic CD. After this, I tried to ask him if he remembered any of the other vocalists who worked on the soundtrack, and he left me on scene. Not only that, shortly afterwards, I found that there actually was at least one place on the internet that credited James Norwood with vocals on Sonic CD, though I honestly wouldn't have been able to find this before I found out about him from my own research, with this piece of information being found on the website Giant Bomb's credits for Sonic CD. However, no other uncredited vocalists are mentioned, and he's been uncredited everywhere else. After this, I found myself at a dead end, and I wasn't comfortable making a video about this mystery while the search for information was at this dead end, especially as I feared giving this mystery more attention would cause people to go harass Norwood, even if I explicitly told them not to. But I really wanted it solved, so I decided to find a way to bring attention to this subject amongst like-minded people who would potentially be just as interested in it as me, while still keeping it on the low. It was here that I decided to post a thread on the website Sonic Retro, pretty much giving them the information I gave in this video so far. The topic was met with interest, but no new information was really brought to light until Evil Ham Wizard revealed that once again, A missing piece of the puzzle was right under our noses the entire time. They linked to a tweet by Masato Nishimura, aka Majin, the artist behind Sonic CD's infamous Fun is Infinite screen, and the voice of Sonic in Sonic CD that Sonic Origins players sadly can't hear. Also, if you knew about this mystery but didn't know it was solved, he's responsible for the weird CX room in Quartz Quadrant in Sonic CD. CXX is another nickname of his, discovered by the fact that he's credited as CXX Majin in the game Dark Wizard, which funnily enough connects to another topic I've discussed in an earlier video, as that game was the brainchild of Kenji Terada, a Final Fantasy writer who had a hand in the Shogakukan Sonic manga. Anyways, I'm getting off track with random trivia. Back to Majin's tweet, it stemmed from a conversation he had with a fan who was asking him about his role as Sonic in Sonic CD. After the fan asked if he knew who did the voice samples for Sega's games Space Harrier and Afterburner and if they were foreign Sega employees, Majin replied, "Since Sega was originally a foreign company, there were quite a few foreign staff members. Speaking of which, a black employee named Steve did the rap in the Sonic CD boss song, though no development." Evil Ham Wizard believes that he was referring to Steve Ray Burton, an international product consultant for Sega who lived in Japan, as he's actually given special thanks in the credits of Sonic CD, and also did voices for Sega's 32X game Metalhead. Weirdly though, while he received special thanks, Norwood didn't. Once again, just like with the giant bomb thing, this information has always been out for years, but no attention has really been brought to it until now. It's, interesting how Majin brings attention to Burton's race in this tweet, just like Hataya did in his interview. However, Hataya specifically said that the people he was referring to were friends of Casey Rankin, and Burton doesn't fit that description, as he was an employee of Sega. Actually, not much is known about Burton other than what Sega fans have spliced together, and unlike Norwood, I couldn't find a way to contact him. His Sega Retro article links to a LinkedIn profile, but the page no longer exists, and obviously has gone unarchived. But at the very least, while I haven't been able to find vocals that sound like the Sonic CD boss theme vocalist in Metalhead through the sea of voice clips from that game, I think we can safely assume that he did the poem for the Sonic CD boss theme, given Majin's tweet. So this still leaves us with the identity of the Metallic Madness rapper. Those vocals clearly don't match those of Norwood's or Burton's. Given that Burton was a Sega employee, this may have been Rankin's other acquaintance that Hataya was referring to, who may have also appeared alongside Rankin and Norwood on the main vocal themes. Now, alongside Burton, there is one more English name in the special thanks section of the Sonic CD credits, that being James Michael Spahn, another localizer who also worked on Metalhead, but I don't think this is our guy, and I strongly believe it to be the other person connected to Rankin, as the rhythmic rapping on display here implies that the performer is likely a musician. But there is one more vocal that I've neglected to mention, the female vocal also found in Stardust Speedway. I can't tell if this is an unidentified vocal sample or something recorded specifically for the game, but from the sounds of it, English isn't the first language of the person singing if we're to believe they're saying, "Hurry to your star." And if we're to believe that this was something recorded specifically for the game, I theorize that this voice may actually belong to Naofumi Hataya's wife and fellow Sega composer Tomoko Sasaki. Her name also appears in the special thanks portion of the credits. But that's all I have to say on this subject. I must say, this is the most involved I've ever been with one of these mysteries, and if you find this interesting, you should also check out my video on the lost first ever feature-length animated film, Creation, a film spearheaded by Goofy's original voice actor, Pinto Colvig. One of his relatives has since confirmed to me that the film may potentially be lost forever. Thank you to anyone who has helped with this search in any way, big or small, the people who contributed to this wonderful music, and you for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day.